Hey there, it's Lauren Foster with Be Happy First on this Thursday. Kind of cool and chilly in December of 2019. And as we talked about on Tuesday, for the whole month of December, we're going to have 8 total shows that are all about the power of words. And so on Tuesday, I gave you an overview of what that is all going to look like. And lovely, beautiful, efficient Tammy has posted all of those videos to a certain place on the web. So if you're interested in going and catching up on old videos, just let us know and we'll have her share the link to that. So today we want to talk about the agreement, excuse me, from Don Miguel Ruiz, his book, The Four Agreements. The first is to be impeccable with your word. And so that's going to be the focus of this class. But I want to share with you that the way the law of attraction works is that what you think about, you bring about. So, as always happens in this work, when I choose a topic to teach on, the universe just sends me all sorts of emails and resources and links. And it's like the whole world lines up to say, oh, you want to talk about that? Here's some things for you to talk about. So, I want to share a lot of the things that have shown up for me over the past week that are around this topic of our impact in the world and the power that our words have to create and to perpetuate things that are lovely and things that are not. So understanding what that power is the very first step in learning to be impeccable with your word. So in my feminine power training that I'm doing with Dr. Claire Zammit, we have our weekly meetings on Wednesday nights. And last night we were talking, she shared with us a book called Connections by Nicholas Kritsaki and James Fowler. And I have downloaded that and I'm getting ready to read it. But what they're talking about is how our emotions, how our actions, how our thoughts, how our very being is affecting other people, and providing the scientific research and the studies that are showing this. And the important reference point is that even without trying, every single one of us impacts at least 1,000 people. So think of that. Think of that one sentence that you say can have a positive or negative influence over 1,000 people. Even if you're not trying, even if you're not a social media maven with thousands of followers, your words and your actions and your vibration are reaching that many people. Now, I don't know about you, but to me that feels like an important responsibility, an important part of our purpose in being here on this planet for this very short amount of time that we get to be human beings. So, as most of you will know, I have some unusual stress in my life at the moment with various different things, including a dear, dear brother who is struggling with a very dangerous illness. And so, but I also have a giant toolbox full of tools that I can use to help myself through that. And one of the things that I'm always recommending is that if you can get yourself out of thinking about the things that are troubling you, whatever it takes. And one of my favorite things is to watch Disney movies. And when my niece was very young, she lived physically close to me. I spent a lot of time with her. And so I knew every word to The Lion King and to The Little Mermaid, that is dating both of us. But I always loved the simplicity and the purity and the clarity in those movies that are made for children, and the imagery that is so amazing. So you can see someone that waves a magic wand and suddenly the whole landscape is transformed with flowers and sunshine and butterflies and beauty. And at the same time, the evil wizard stamps his staff and everything turns to black. And so if you can have an image like that in your mind of the impact that you're having on the world and the impact that your words are having, if you can draw a picture in your mind of your words landing in the middle of a pond and then the ripples that are going to expand from there. And then what do you want those to be? What part of the expansion of the universe do you want to play? Do you want to be someone who builds up and lets the world begin to expand in a more peaceful and beautiful and loving and kind and expansive way? Or do you want to be someone who tears down? Do you want to be somebody who harms? So again, you get to choose. It's absolutely, totally, and always your choice as to how you're going to create and how you're going to use your words. So I encourage you to choose words that make you and everyone around you happy. The other big lesson that came out of last night's class is the tipping point of changing worldviews and changing the value set of the world. And intuitively, we would think for there to be real world change, then at least half the people need to have the change in thinking, when in truth, we only need 10% of people to begin to think in a different way and begin to see the world in a different way and to have different values. And less than 200 years ago, the idea that a woman who had the education, who had the opportunities the same as a man, would have the same impact. That was a radical idea less than 200 years ago, and around 200 years ago in the late 1700s. And again, this is stuff that I learned from Claire last night. And now look at us. Look at the way that we are creating. It's the girls that are voting now take the right to vote completely for granted, and it was just a generation or two ago where we were fighting for that right. So evolution can be very, very, very swift. Um, so if you want to have an impact on the world, keep in mind that you're already affecting 1,000 people. And you can first choose how you're affecting those 1,000. And then if you want to reach out and spread your message to a larger group of people in order to bring about the changes that you believe would benefit this world, then there are thousands of routes and avenues on which you can travel to use your words, your actions, and your vibration to bring about change in the world. So my partner Tammy wrote an amazing blog post that we're going to include the link to that in as well. That this is going to be a very action-filled, link-filled post because there's so many references that we always want you to be able to go back to the source and to dig deeper into things that interest you and make you happy. And Tammy's blog is awesome. So I really encourage you to go and have a look at that. But she was talking about how it's so important to put ourselves first because we cannot serve from an empty vessel. And again, this came up in our class last night. Like I said, the law of attraction brings all of the parts and pieces together for a message that you want to share. And so what often comes up for us as loving, generous, giving women is that we don't want to be selfish. We don't want to be self-centered and self-serving. All of those negative terms that are associated with taking care of ourselves. And so, but the important message here is that that idea is assuming that it's an either or situation, that either I can have my needs met and I can have my cup filled, or you can have your needs met and your cup filled. I can either give to you and help you and be generous with you to the detriment of myself, or either I can be happy or you can be happy. Either my cup can be full or yours. When the truth is, there is always a way in this creative and massive and limitless possibility universe for me to have my needs met and to help you and to serve you and to give to the people that I love and want to support in all of the ways that are in the best service of them. So do you get the difference in those words? That it's an either or it's a yes and. Yes, I can continually fill my cup so that I have plenty to give to you, so that everyone's needs are met and that the universe is able to use us all in this amazing connected universe that we are creating as human beings, as living creatures on this planet. So it's so empowering when you can shift the way that you think and shift the choice of words that you use and be deliberate in the impact that you want to make on the world by choosing words that are empowered. So, another message that arrived in my inbox was from my favorite teachers, Abraham-Hicks. I get a message from them every single day in my inbox that's drawn from their teachings. And what they do is they go around the world and they sit down and they ask the people who have the questions, the people who show up wanting to know, and then they use those questions to teach and to reveal the power of the universe and the power of the law of attraction, how all of these parts and pieces are fitting together. So their message today was talking about world peace and what exactly that means. Now, the way we have been behaving as human beings across the planet is that world peace means that you agree with me, that you get lined up with what I think, and you have the same opinion as me. You worship the same God in the same way and the same everything, and trying to get everybody all to agree is how we have had an approach to world peace, and that is never going to work because we are each absolutely unique with our own desires and our own thought processes and our own way of manifesting and creating in this world. So what world peace really looks like is that we celebrate our differences. We relish the fact that we get to learn and grow and create and be and experience in the way that we want to, while we're allowing everybody else to do the same thing. And we learn from one another, and we witness and observe. And maybe I don't enjoy the things that you are manifesting and that you like. There's a whole other world for me to go and participate in. So live and let everybody be in the way that they want to be is what the true definition of world peace would be, instead of saying my way is the only way and you better agree with me. And so, that's one of the problems that I have with every political conversation, every religious conversation, is that people get dug in to their viewpoint and are unwilling to even hear a different viewpoint, much less allow, all of those to exist. So, not to bash anybody or anything in any way, because as I said, we all get to think and believe and worship and live and create in the way that we want to. So they say that this is the quote, the ultimate experience is everyone having their experience and launching their individual rockets of desire, and the universe yielding to all of them simultaneously. We all get to want what we want. We all get to get what we want, and nobody suffers for that. So back to the original message from the Four Agreements from Don Miguel Ruiz's book, Be Impeccable with Your Word. So the word impeccable from the Latin means without sin. The Latin base peccatus is sin, and is without sin. And so Don Miguel's definition, and again, sin, when we get into words like, oh, this group believes that this is what a sin is, group believes that this is what a sin is. In Don Miguel's frame of reference, what he is using the word sin, that definition in this context, is anything that goes against yourself and your highest good. So does this bring us back to that selfish thing? It does not, actually, because your word harming you happens in two ways. One, when you put harmful black spells out into the world, that circles back to you through the law of attraction. What you reap, you shall sow. And then the second way in which using your words to destroy is harmful to you is that if you truly believe in the concept that we are one, that all living creatures are connected and a part of the same beautiful divine energy, the energy that is beating your heart and breathing you, then you cannot harm a part of that without also harming yourself. So no matter how you look at it, to use your word to tear down is to harm yourself. So Don Miguel talks about how words are spells, that there are black spells and destructive words that harm us, and there are white spells that build up and that encourage and support and grow and expand. And we get the choice of learning to stop and look at our words before we say them and deciding what kind of spell we're going to cast with our words. And finally, he talks about how the worst and most harmful use of words is gossip. And then every day I get a business video from Donald Miller, who is the author of StoryBrand. And I highly recommend these if you are in business in any way, form, or fashion, because they're just short 3 to 5 minute videos, and they're always just so dead on with great advice for your business. And his video today was about how gossip destroys trust. And he gave some examples of, word came back to him from people in his company that had been gossiping about him. And even though it didn't make him not like them, it didn't make him not like their work, it made him not trust them. So he separated from them, and therefore they did not have access to the boss. They didn't have access to advancing in the company. And so when you gossip about someone, it feels like in the beginning, and that again, this is something that he said, it feels like this conversation is a bonding between you and the person that you're talking to. But if you are using your words to talk about someone else behind their back, both of you have given this picture to one another that you are not trustworthy. So how do you know that when this conversation is over, the two of you aren't going to go off and have conversations about each other to other people? And so gossip just destroys our ability to really trust one another and to create a true bond that is based on knowing that you will never do harm. So that's just one of the other amazing things that that is on this subject. So it all boils down to this: your words can harm, your words can build up, and do no harm. It's the beginning of the Hippocratic Oath. It's the beginning of all kinds of I've read it in Wiccan literature, is that never ever do harm. And if that's your intention, you can't go wrong. So this week, our activity is to just start to be aware, to pay attention to the words we're using, to pay attention to the words that other people are using, and to increase our level of awareness of the impact of those words. Picture in your mind that these words landing on the ground and sprouting into whatever type of seed they are, and just begin to pay attention. Just begin to exercise your ability to direct your attention to where you want it to be. So I will be back here next Tuesday at 11:30 Eastern Time, and we'll be thinking about you all along. And we always welcome your questions. We always welcome your impact and your input and your feedback, and give us direction as to how we can best serve. So until next week, remember that happiness is a choice, and you can always choose to be happy first. I'll see you soon.